What if I told you your garden could do something most gardeners never even attempt? Stop people in their tracks before they see a single flower. Not because of color, not because of shape, because of scent. There's a category of plants so powerful, so precisely engineered by evolution, that a single one can turn an ordinary backyard into something people remember for years. We're talking about fragrance that pulls pollinators from blocks away, scent molecules that can shift your mood the second you step outside, and blooms with histories stretching back centuries, once traded, once fought over, once considered more valuable than the flowers themselves suggested. And today, I'm handing you 11 of them. 11 plants that will transform how your garden smells, how it feels, and honestly, how it makes you feel every time you walk through it. Stick around, because number 8 has a scent so intense that perfumers have used it for over 1,000 years, and number 1 does something after dark that almost nobody outside serious gardeners knows about. If you love learning the plants that turn ordinary gardens into unforgettable ones, make sure you're subscribed, because that's exactly what we do here every single week. So let's get into it. Here are 11 sweet-smelling plants that will make your garden absolutely unforgettable. Before we dive in, here's how this works. We're counting down from 11 to 1, building toward the most incredible entry on this entire list. Each plant brings something different. A different season, a different mood, a different kind of magic in the air. Some are bold enough to fill an entire yard. Others are so subtle you'll only notice them when the breeze shifts just right. Grab a notebook or spot you're serious about your garden, because you're going to want to remember these names. Let's start the countdown right now with number 11. Number 11, Sweet Alyssum, the honey carpet. This tiny, low-growing plant looks almost too humble to make a list like this. But get close, and you'll understand immediately why gardeners have been obsessed with it for over 400 years. Sweet Alyssum originated along the rocky coastlines of the Mediterranean, where it clung to cliffs and stone walls, releasing fragrance into salty sea air. Victorian gardeners later prized it so heavily that it became a staple border plant in nearly every formal English garden, valued not for size, but for the way it perfumed entire walkways. Here's what makes it remarkable. The scent is unmistakably honeyed, sweet, warm, almost dessert-like, with a soft clove undertone that intensifies as the sun climbs higher. Walk past it at noon, and the smell practically rises up to greet you. It thrives in full sun to partial shade, tolerates poor soil, and asks for almost nothing in return. Zones 5 through 9 handle it beautifully, and it self-seeds so generously that one season's planting often means years of return blooms. Here's what most people don't realize. Sweet Alyssum isn't just fragrant. It's a pollinator magnet so effective that farmers plant it near crops, specifically to draw in beneficial insects that protect their harvest. So this unassuming little carpet of white isn't just pretty, it's working behind the scenes, quietly transforming your garden's ecosystem while it fills the air with honey. But if you thought that was impressive, wait until you smell what's coming in at number 10. Number 10, Ewing stock, the twilight perfumer. Most flowers save nothing for the night. Ewing stock does the opposite. It barely smells like anything during the day, then transforms completely the moment the sun drops. This plant originated in Greece and the eastern Mediterranean, where ancient gardeners noticed something strange. The flowers looked plain, almost forgettable in daylight, yet at dusk, entire courtyards would suddenly fill with fragrance. For centuries, it was planted specifically outside bedroom windows for exactly that reason. The scent itself is spicy and clove-like, with a rich, almost velvety sweetness underneath. It's the kind of fragrance that seems to thicken the air itself, heavy and warm, carried on the slightest evening breeze. Evening stock prefers full sun during the day but does its real work after dark. It grows well in zones 2 through 11, tolerates cooler temperatures better than most fragrant flowers, and works beautifully in containers near patios or windows. Here's the twist almost nobody knows. Evening stock releases its fragrance through a completely different chemical process than daytime flowers, one triggered by dropping temperatures and fading light, which is exactly why night-pollinating moths are drawn to it specifically. So while every other flower is winding down for the day, this one is just getting started, turning your evenings into something unexpectedly magical. And speaking of unexpected, number 9 brings a scent so specific, so nostalgic that one whiff can transport you decades back in time. Number 9. Lilac, the memory keeper. There's a reason grandmothers everywhere seem to have a lilac bush somewhere in their yard. This plant has been cultivated for over 500 years, originally native to the rocky hillsides of southeastern Europe, before spreading across nearly every continent through royal gardens and immigrant homesteads. Lilac became so beloved in colonial America that Thomas Jefferson himself planted it at Monticello, and settlers often carried cuttings across oceans specifically so they wouldn't have to live without that scent again. The fragrance is unmistakable, sweet and slightly powdery, with floral top notes that somehow smell exactly like nostalgia itself. It's one of the few scents proven to trigger vivid, specific childhood memories almost instantly. Lilac thrives in zones 3 through 7, needs full sun, and prefers well-drained soil. It's low maintenance once established, though it does need cold winters to bloom properly, which surprises a lot of warmer climate gardeners. Here's what most people don't realize. Lilac blooms last only 2 to 3 weeks each year, which is exactly why that scent feels so precious. Your brain associates rarity with emotional intensity, and lilac uses that quirk of memory perfectly. So for a few short weeks each spring, this plant doesn't just perfume your yard. It reconnects you to something personal, something years gone, something worth waiting all year for. Now let's move to number 8, the one I promised you earlier, because this next scent was once worth more than gold. Number 8, rose, the ancient obsession. Roses have been cultivated for over 5,000 years, and at various points in history, specific rose oils were genuinely more valuable ounce for ounce than gold itself. Ancient Persian perfumers guarded their rose distillation techniques as closely as state secrets. It takes roughly 60,000 roses to produce a single ounce of pure rose oil, which explains why that fragrance carried such extraordinary value. Cleopatra reportedly had rose petals scattered ankle-deep throughout her palace floors, just to be surrounded by that scent constantly. The fragrance itself is deep, layered, and almost impossible to fully describe, simultaneously sweet, slightly fruity, and faintly spicy, changing subtly depending on the variety and even the time of day you smell it. Roses need full sun, well-drained soil, and consistent watering, growing well across zones 3 through 9 depending on the variety you choose. Some types demand more care than others, so choosing the right cultivar for your climate matters enormously. Here's the twist almost nobody realizes. Not all roses actually smell strongly. Many modern hybrids were bred purely for appearance and lost most of their fragrance in the process. If scent matters to you, you have to specifically seek out old garden roses or heirloom varieties. So that gorgeous rose bush at the garden center might look stunning and smell like almost nothing at all, while a scraggly old heirloom variety could fill your entire yard with a fragrance once fought over by empires. Number 7 takes things somewhere completely different, into territory most gardeners never even think to explore. Number 7. Night-Blooming Jasmine, the invisible giant. This plant looks almost boring during the day, just a modest green shrub with small, unremarkable flowers. But wait until nightfall, because this thing can perfume an area the size of an entire city block. Native to the Caribbean and parts of Central America, Night-Blooming Jasmine earned nicknames like Rat Ki Rani, meaning Queen of the Night, in cultures across Asia where it was later introduced. Entire neighborhoods have reported smelling a single plant from hundreds of feet away. The fragrance is intensely sweet, almost tropical, with a heady, slightly narcotic quality that some people find overwhelming in large doses. It's the kind of scent that announces itself before you even see the plant. Night-Blooming Jasmine thrives in zones 9 through 11, prefers full sun to partial shade, and needs protection from frost, since it's genuinely tropical at heart. In colder climates, gardeners often grow it in containers they bring indoors for winter. Here's what most people don't realize. This plant is so potent that some people develop headaches or nausea from prolonged exposure, which means placement matters enormously. Plant it too close to bedroom windows, and that dreamy fragrance can quickly become overwhelming. So this quiet, unassuming shrub holds power most flowers can only dream of, capable of turning your entire backyard into a fragrance experience strangers notice from the street. Coming up next at number 6, we're looking at a plant with a fragrance so specific it's been used in perfumery for over 1,000 years. Number 6. Lavender. the calming legend. Ancient Romans used lavender to scent their bathwater, and the name itself comes from the Latin word lavare, meaning to wash. But its real story goes back even further, to Egyptian mummification practices where lavender oil was used in the embalming process. By medieval times, lavender had become essential in perfumery, medicine, and even as a strewing herb, scattered across floors to mask odors and repel insects in crowded households. Entire regions of southern France built economies around lavender cultivation that still exist today. The scent is clean, herbal, and slightly floral, with a calming quality that's almost instantly recognizable. It's sharp enough to clear your senses, yet soft enough to feel soothing rather than overwhelming. Lavender grows best in zones 5 through 9, demanding full sun and, critically, excellent drainage. It actually struggles in rich, moist soil, preferring conditions closer to its native Mediterranean hillsides, dry, rocky, and sun-baked. Here's what most people don't realize. Lavender's calming reputation isn't just folklore. Studies have shown its scent can measurably lower cortisol levels and reduce anxiety, which is exactly why it's become a staple in aromatherapy worldwide. So this modest purple spike isn't just pretty in a garden bed. It's quite literally been calming humans down for over 2,000 years. Number 5 brings something completely unexpected, a fragrance most people associate with dessert, not flowers. Number 5. Heliotrope, the cherry pie plant. Most people have never heard of heliotrope, yet nearly everyone who smells it says the same thing instantly. It smells like cherry pie, or sometimes vanilla, baked fresh and warm. Victorian gardeners nicknamed it exactly that, cherry pie plant, and it became wildly fashionable in perfume houses throughout the 1800s. Native to Peru, heliotrope was actually named for its habit of turning its flower clusters to follow the sun throughout the day, a behavior the ancient Greeks found so fascinating they named the entire plant after that movement. The fragrance is warm, sweet, and almost edible, blending vanilla, cherry, and a faint hint of baby powder into something that smells more like a bakery than a garden bed. Heliotrope prefers full sun to partial shade and thrives as an annual in most climates, though it survives as a perennial in zones 10 and 11. It's not difficult to grow, but it does appreciate consistent moisture and rich soil. Here's what most people don't realize. That dessert-like scent comes from a compound called heliotropin, which became so popular that chemists eventually synthesized it artificially, and it's now used in countless commercial perfumes and candles you've probably smelled without ever knowing its origin. So, next time you catch a whiff of something in a candle store that smells suspiciously like cherry pie, there's a good chance heliotrope is the reason why. Before we continue toward the top 4, let's pause for a second. If you're already picking out favorites, planning where you'd put a lilac bush or a patch of lavender, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach other gardeners who'd love to build something this fragrant in their own backyard. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is exactly the kind of content we post every week. Plants, history, and the little-known details most gardening channels skip entirely. Drop a comment and tell me which plant so far you're most excited to try. I read every single one. Now let's get back to it, because the final 4 are about to get seriously impressive. Number 4. Gardenia, the obsession flower. Gardenias have caused genuine fanaticism for centuries. In the American South, entire garden clubs formed around cultivating the perfect gardenia bloom, and corsages made from them became status symbols throughout the early 1900s, worn to proms and weddings as a mark of romantic seriousness. Native to China and Japan, gardenias were introduced to Europe in the 1750s and immediately caused a sensation. Wealthy collectors paid enormous sums for greenhouse specimens since the plant struggled outside tropical and subtropical climates. The fragrance is rich, creamy, and intensely floral, almost thick in the air, with a slightly citrusy undertone that keeps it from feeling cloying. It's often described as one of the most luxurious scents in the entire plant kingdom. Gardenias thrive in zones 8 through 11, need partial shade, and demand acidic, well-draining soil. They're notoriously finicky, sensitive to temperature swings, overwatering, and even shifts in humidity, which is exactly why success with them feels so rewarding. Here's what most people don't realize. Gardenia fragrance intensifies dramatically in humid evening air, which is why southern porches lined with gardenia bushes became such an iconic image, that scent thickening as temperatures dropped after sunset. So if you've ever wondered why gardenias develop almost cult-like followings among gardeners, it's because growing one successfully feels like earning something, a reward measured in fragrance most other flowers simply can't match. Number 3 takes us somewhere with a scent tied directly to one of the most valuable spices in human history. Number 3, Sweet Bay, the laurel of legends. Long before it became a kitchen staple, Sweet Bay held serious cultural weight. Ancient Greeks crowned victorious athletes and poets with laurel wreaths cut from this very plant, and the word laureate, as in poet laureate, comes directly from that tradition. Native to the Mediterranean, Sweet Bay was considered sacred to Apollo, associated with wisdom, victory, and protection. Romans planted it near their homes, believing it warded off evil and even lightning strikes. Crush a leaf, and the fragrance releases instantly, warm, slightly peppery, and deeply aromatic, somewhere between eucalyptus and clove. It's subtle from a distance but incredibly potent up close, especially when the leaves are bruised or warmed by sun. Sweet Bay grows well in zones 8 through 10, prefers full sun to partial shade, and tolerates a wide range of soil types. It's slow-growing but incredibly long-lived, with some specimens surviving for centuries when properly cared for. Here's what most people don't realize. Unlike most fragrant plants on this list, Sweet Bay doesn't release its scent passively into the air. You have to interact with it, brush against it, crush a leaf, for that aromatic payoff to appear. So this isn't a plant that perfumes your yard passively. It's one that rewards curiosity, offering its best fragrance only to those willing to reach out and touch it. Number 2 brings us dangerously close to the top spot, with a scent history connects directly to royalty and sacred ritual. Number 2, Orange Jasmine, the temple flower. Across Southeast Asia, this plant has been cultivated for centuries, not just for beauty but for genuine reverence. In parts of India and Thailand, its blossoms were traditionally offered at temples, threaded into garlands, and used in ceremonies marking births, weddings, and important religious festivals. Native to South and Southeast Asia, Orange Jasmine earned its common name from a fragrance that genuinely resembles orange blossom, though the plant itself belongs to the citrus family, which explains that unmistakable connection. The scent is intensely sweet, citrusy, and almost creamy, with layers that shift depending on the time of day. Mornings bring out brighter, sharper notes, while evenings deepen into something richer and more intoxicating. Orange Jasmine thrives in zones 9 through 11, tolerates both full sun and partial shade, and adapts well to container growing, which is exactly why it's become popular as an indoor-outdoor plant in cooler climates. Here's what most people don't realize. This plant can bloom multiple times throughout the year, especially after rainfall, meaning your garden could experience that overwhelming fragrance not just once each season, but repeatedly, triggered by nothing more than a passing storm. So while other fragrant plants give you one glorious window each year, Orange Jasmine keeps the surprises coming, rewarding you again and again whenever conditions align. And now, we've arrived at number 1, the plant I promised you at the very beginning of this video, the one that does something after dark that almost nobody outside serious gardeners knows about. Get ready, because this one might just change how you think about fragrance entirely. Number 1, Moonflower, the vine that blooms once and vanishes by morning. This is the plant I've been building toward this entire video, and once you understand what it actually does, you'll never look at your evening garden the same way again. Moonflower is a climbing vine native to tropical regions of Central and South America, related closely to morning glory, but living an almost opposite life. While most flowers open with the sunrise, Moonflower does the reverse entirely. Its enormous white blooms, sometimes 6 inches across, stay tightly closed all day, then unfurl dramatically within minutes as the sun sets. Indigenous cultures throughout Mesoamerica considered Moonflower deeply symbolic, associating it with transformation, night spirits, and the boundary between the physical and spiritual world, largely because watching it bloom felt like witnessing something otherworldly happening in real time. The fragrance is intensely sweet, almost narcotic, released specifically to attract nocturnal moths, particularly sphinx moths, which pollinate it under cover of darkness. Stand near a blooming vine at night, and the scent hits in waves, thick, sweet, and completely unlike anything you'd smell during daylight hours. Moonflower grows in zones 3 through 10 as an annual, or as a perennial in warmer zones, needing full sun during the day and a sturdy trellis, since vines can stretch 20 feet or more in a single season. Here's the detail almost nobody outside serious gardeners ever discovers. Each individual bloom lasts only one single night. By morning, it closes forever, and a fresh bloom takes its place the following evening. That means your entire moonflower vine is essentially staging a brand new fragrance performance every single night throughout the growing season, never repeating, never lasting, always temporary. That combination, extraordinary size, overwhelming fragrance, and heartbreaking impermanence, is exactly why Moonflower earns the top spot. It doesn't just smell incredible, it forces you to actually show up and witness it, because tomorrow's bloom will be a completely different flower entirely. And there you have it, 11 plants capable of turning any backyard into something genuinely unforgettable. From Sweet Alyssum's honeyed carpet to Moonflower's nightly disappearing act, each one brings something completely different to the table, different seasons, different hours, different moods entirely. Here's what I want you to do now. Scroll back through this list and think about your own space, your climate, your sunlight, your patio or porch where you spend your evenings. Which one fits perfectly into that picture? Drop a comment below and tell me which plant you're adding to your garden first. Are you Team Lilac, Team Moonflower, or Team Gardenia? I read every single comment, and I genuinely love hearing what you're planning to grow. If this video helped you picture a more fragrant garden, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We publish new plant breakdowns like this every single week, packed with history, science, and details most gardening channels never mention. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.